Completely safe. Yes, I'm sure they are. Also, thank you for the follow, sir. All right, we're gonna back this up for a second here. Hold on, because I missed some stuff. Because my YouTube stream was like not working. I think it is now though. All right, so they have four. We have four different branches that have an inventory that, like, I'm assuming it like grows over time after interacting with the like breach mechanic or whatever, and after a certain amount of time it like poops it out. It sounded not right. Wait. Maybe my audio... I'm on a scene that I'm not usually on. Maybe the audio's scuffed here. Maybe the audio is scuffed on this scene. I haven't used this scene in forever. One sec. Oh, I don't think that's the right audio. Is it? Maybe it is. Sorry, boys. Un momento. That should be right. Why did it sound off? What's good, No Bad? How's it going? All right, we'll keep watching. Okay. Add 2 to 19 lightning damage. Attack and cast speed. Uses level 15 wreathed in light. Graft blood. Okay, so my initial thought here is that these things are going to allow us to collect graft blood from breach monsters, which then we take to the tree to grow the tree. Right? That's what I'm guessing. Whoa! What is that added attack physical damage by? What the fuck is that? 102,000 to 154,000 added attack fizz damage? What? JFC, yo? JFC. What's JFC? What the fuck is this? AoE physical attack melee bow. Wait, what? 10-second cooldown. Oh no, dude. This graph will periodically target rare or unique enemies in range, calling forth massive hands which slam down, dealing high damage and stunning. 8% to critical... Wait, 8% to crit strike chance. That's got to be to base, right? But it's also to base, right? It doesn't say this skill has a base crit of 8. It's saying plus 8 to base crit? That can't be right either. That's crazy. But they wouldn't just increase it by 8%. Bro, that has to be plus 8 flat 8% to base crit chance. Right? It also says stuns enemies. It's not like a chance or anything. So Is that a guaranteed stun? Does that work on bosses? Level 28 too by the, oh wait, no. That's gotta be the level of the gym, not the requirement. Never mind. Yo, what the fuck? Oh, Jesus effing Christ. Okay. That's high as fuck damage. Yeah, it is. This looks insane. This is the clip of the sound. All right. Working. Oh yeah, what the heck? That was like a robot sound, right? That's not right. I like barely heard it. But I hate sometimes that stuff needs explaining. That's true. That's typical. Okay, I need to figure that out. Wait, why did that sound like that? That did not sound like that on my end at all. Wait, I'm going to switch scenes real quick. Hold on. Pay no attention to what you see on the screen right now. Wait, what am I... Hold on, let's just throw a notification real quick. Pay no attention to what you see on screen right now. This is definitely PoE still. Dude, he didn't explode. Did that sound scuffed still? No. This is PoE. This is not New World. Pay no attention. This is PoE. That still sounded scuffed? Bro, it sounds like normal to me. What the heck? I have no idea. What could that even... Okay, why would it sound normal to me, but scuffed on the fucking Twitch stream? Maybe it's something with the encoding? It might have to be a... I'm just gonna go with it because I think I'd have to like restart OBS or something. I don't know. I'm a little baffled on that one. I'm not sure. I thought it might be the scene, but I guess like nothing else sounds scuffed, right? Like the video audio sounds fine, my mic sounds fine, everything like that sounds fine, right? It's just the notification? So far. That's so weird. I don't know. We're just gonna keep watching. I have no idea. All right, what's this thing? Okay, what? Bro, we just had 100,000 fizz to 154,000 fizz, and now we're getting 2,774 cold to 4,000 cold? What? Okay, this one's level 15, though. The last one was level 28. This one is a 24-second cooldown? Oh, my God. It's like an Eye of Winter. How are you going to say if you're simply looking for raw damage with a 35-second cooldown ability That's not even 1/10 of the added flat of the first gem you sent us. What? That does look sick, though. Called it. What the fuck are these currency items? Foulborn Orb of Augmentation, Regal Implant, Unstable Implant. What are these? It's graft crafting. Bro, they found a way to put PoE 2 like 0.0. They found a way to put that crafting system into PoE 1. No shot, bro. No shot, bro. Bro, is this what we're going to get from now on? PoE 1 leagues are just going to be PoE 2 leagues, but in PoE 1 ways? Are we just going to get the same content like regurgitated into one another in the games? Is that what's going to happen? Like, it's not Abyss, but we're getting Abyss fucking currency items from PoE 2 into PoE 1 right now. I mean, I'm not saying I hate it. I don't want that to become a trend. Why develop two new things when you can develop one thing and put it in both games? I mean, it's still two new things, though, to be fair. Because they did a Abyss, And now they're doing Breach and PoE. They did Abyss and PoE 2, and now they're doing... My camera's not in a good spot, is it? I should probably move this. Give me a second, I'll move it. But yeah, they did Abyss in PoE 2, but they're adding like...
And that's what I call high-quality H2O.
But they're adding the same currencies that were in Abyss into Breach now. But they're changing how Breach works. I mean, the Breach, like, outside of the boss mechanic, looks very different than what Breach was in PoE 1 or PoE 2. But the boss, like, fight looks pretty much the same as PoE 2. Which was pretty much the same as PoE 1. Just slightly different. So... it's still developing new things for both games. They're just like incorporating some of the things in both in like different ways. And like, I don't know, like not, again, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just, wait, how do I, oh shit. Okay. Apparently I can't do that. I'm just gonna do this then. That's not how sequels should work, GGG. I mean, to be fair, this sequel is like not the same kind of thing as a normal sequel. Like, usually when games get a sequel, the original game doesn't get any more updates. So it's not really like we're getting, like, we have 2 games instead of 1 game. If it were to work, like, is there another game that like has like what do you call it, like it's a sequel version and oh, what the heck? Oh, that's how that works? Oh, I didn't realize. Anyways, yeah. Oh yeah, camera. Where should I move my camera to? Where's like a good spot for the camera here? Maybe in the corner somewhere, in like a top corner? Like maybe like, what the? Like up here maybe? Or down here maybe? This will probably be good, I think. We love recycling around here. Like I said, I'm not against recycling the content. I just don't want to see this become a trend where like, oh cool, I played PoE 2 League. Now I get to play it in PoE 1. Like, I want new content in both so that it's like not feeling repetitive and like the same thing I just played, you know? But we'll see what happens. Of course it's not. I mean, this could be interesting. Everything that it just showed was leveling like stuff, which at this point in the game, you're not leveling anymore, but it could be interesting. But that also means that people are going to be forced into interacting with Breach, which is one of the things they like about PoE 1 is that they don't have to play a certain type of way. So for forcing people to play Breach, because from what it seems like, the Graph Blood is not going to be tradable. And that's the only way to do this. So you're going to have to do Breach, which is kind of annoying. I'm not sure if I'm liking this right now, if I'm being honest. Yeah, I get it. I'm a casual player of both, and I don't want the same thing all the time across both, but I get it. Yeah, that's... I want them to be different games. I want to play PoE 2 because it's PoE 2, and I want to play PoE 1 because it's PoE 1. At least I think I want that. Every time I play PoE 2, there's like something about it that just makes me want to play PoE 1. But yeah, I want them to be different enough to where like every 2 months I have something different to play. It's like not playing the same thing every like 4 months. You know what I mean? If this shotguns, that looks fucking sick. If this doesn't shotgun, this is pretty trash. So I really hope it shotguns. That looks really good. That looks way better than the wand, like one that they just showed. And if that shotguns, that could also be insane. I mean, you can only have the one ignite on per person, but if that shotguns, like you could have poison versions of this, you could have fucking hit versions, you could have ignite versions, you could have all kinds of craziness going on with that. Bro, they put Amazon fucking Tornado Twister into PoE 1. What? But they made it a bow character. And it looks better, to be honest. It doesn't take as much ramp up in time. Okay, so something I'm not liking about these abilities so far, they're very like PoE 1.5. What I mean by that is they require some setup, but not as much as PoE 2. So they're not just fucking like brain off, like use the ability and go. So there better be a payoff for that. Like this one, it says that you have to like sit in the storm, and then as soon as you leave the storm, they turn into twisters. So if I sit in the storm, do I get like 1,000% increased damage or some shit? Like, what's the dealio here? Okay, It better work, unlike the Ember Fusillade in fucking PoE 2, because Ember Fusillade in PoE 2 misses its targets 95% of the time. So this is going to be dog shit if it works exactly like that. Is that like Phantasm, but for Ellie mages? I feel like it is. Like, obviously, whatever build they're showcasing here is dealing 0 damage, but I feel like that's Phantasm support, but for lightning mages, I guess. And quickly, bro, did we watch the same thing? Hold on. Watch this. He's already 8 miles ahead of the tornado. The tornado is off his screen. What? He's faster than the tornadoes. That's going to be a useless skill, at least on a bow character. Maybe single target increase. Maybe for like bossing increase, maybe. Who knows? But like, in terms of clear, that thing is trash. Oh, what? Wait, what? I don't know about that. Wait, so you ascend, you get your 8 ascendancy points, and then you have to choose between. Huh. I mean, these better be cracked. They better be cracked. Okay, are those ascendancies just going to be the Pharesia ascendancies then? Is that what those are? That's what it kind of looked like. He's a fast fuckboy. That sounds cool. Okay, so no, it looks like then. God damn it, I was muted that whole time. It could be interesting. This could be interesting. A reliable way of getting adrenaline could be very good. And by default, it would be 4 seconds of adrenaline, it looks like. Because it's 30 max rage by default, and this gives you 10 max rage more, and it's 1 second per 10 rage loss, so 4 second adrenaline reliably sounds like it could be pretty good, actually. Yo, unleashed bound spells or whatever. Yo, is fucking what's the ability they've been showing off this entire time? Not whirling blades, not fucking. Wait, maybe just whirling. No, whirling blades is the movement skill. What's the fucking blade vortex? Blade vortex could be making a comeback, boys. Just saying. Holy shit. +1 ring slot is in PoE1, dude. That unlocks so much. Yeah, I allowed it, Devontae. What spells Gaylord? Wait, what were you talking about? Dude, +1 ring slot in PoE1. You could pretty much, dude. That's pretty dang good, man. You could unlock a lot with that. Uh, uh, all of those options are less than ideal. Amulet is too strong. I mean, belt could be an option before you get Mage Blood, at least. No belt is actually free. No belt is actually super free. No. Actually, no. Now that I think about it, no belt until you, and like, unless you have like Headhunter or Mage Blood, then it's not free. But the belt slot can only, like, realistically, it can have armor or a little bit of evasion or energy shield. It can have life, and then it can have resistances. And that's like all you really want out of a belt anyways. Which the ring can have all of that. Plus 2 other stats that you actually want. So that is free as fuck until you get Mage Blood or Headhunter. Then it's not free anymore. I'm sure somebody will figure out a way to like make that super good, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Okay, I forgot though. I forgot that these points. No. The +1 ring slots now absolutely garbage. When you think about the fact that you have to give up 2 of your normal ascendancy points for this. I fucking forgot about that. You're giving up normal ascendancy points for anything you would take otherwise this way. I forgot completely about that. Big W, big W. Forget everything I said about not putting PoE 2 stuff in PoE 1. When it comes to stuff like this, holy dude, trading in Path of Exile just became so fucking good. It's insane, bro. Oh, if there was no other reason to play this league other than this, or I mean, if this didn't exist, there might be less reason. But dude, now that it exists, I will play just for that reason, dude. It is insane how good that is. Trade is glorious. Agreed. Yes, 100%. Glad it's in PoE 1 as well. Big W. Big W. Now, it would be a massive W if we learned some of the pain points from PoE 2 and added those features in PoE 1. For instance, bulk tab pricing. If we could just add that along with the trading side of things here, the asynchronous, holy God, we got a game, boys. Don't jinx it, Devontae. Don't jinx it. Okay, not gonna lie. These fights were pretty fun, but they were way too easy. So, getting Uber versions, I'm kind of interested in. I'm not gonna lie. I wonder what the loot will be, though. All right, tier 17 map boss rushing is still going to be a huge profit here, depending on what the things drop. Actually, dude, it could dilute it because if they don't drop shit, ooh, then you got lots of shitty fragments. Ooh, they're changing Breach, Tadoni. Breach is changing a lot. They're adding the asynchronous trading to PoE 1. They're adding some skill gems and stuff that basically are coming from PoE 2. Some of them are new, like brand new, but like a lot of them are like just what is in PoE 2 and they're making it in PoE 1. Yeah. There's a lot of new stuff going on. I didn't even know there were statues in that fight. I had no idea. So they're buffing Hand of Chayula Monk? Well, no. No. I didn't even know there were statues in this fight, if I'm being honest. But that's interesting. They're going to refract. That's interesting. I like that they're explaining the boss mechanics because I never saw like any of these mechanics. Those bosses were just dead instantly every time I fought them. So this one was cancer. They were dead instantly every time I fought them. So what build are you going? I don't know yet. I'm not sure yet. I was honestly thinking about starting a heister this league. And for like the first week, just doing nothing but heisting. And then playing my real build after that. But I don't know right now. I'm uncertain. They also made some changes to heist. So I don't know. I don't know yet. I'm not sure yet. We got to keep watching. Again, really glad they're talking about what the mechanics are because all of these bosses were insta dead every time I fought them. I had no idea there was mechanics. I fucking hate the mute button on this mic. This mic is perfect in every way except for the mute button. I was saying, just to give you guys an inside look on what we're doing here and why New World's a perfect game, I'm just sitting here AFK in a group getting a bunch of loot and standing and stuff while we're getting to watch the PoE redeem thing. So, yeah, perfect New World game, just saying. Bro, nobody uses retaliation skills. You've piqued my interests. 131% increased damage with poison. 135% spell damage. Triggered spells poison on hit. All damage with triggered spells can poison. You could get some beefy poisons. Yo! Blade Vortex! Yo, are we playing Blade Vortex, boys? Are we playing Poison BV? Is Poison BV back, boys? Is Poison BV back? Trigger a trigger a socketed spell when you block. 38% chance to block spell damage while in offhand. Ooh, interesting. Wait, you can just dual wield these, no? Wait, couldn't you just dual wield these? I don't know if you'd want to, but that would give you 38 spell block. Retaliation skills. Who the fuck is that frog on top? What are you talking about? What are you talking about, Tadoni? Frog on top. In your new world? What are we talking about? What frog? You talking about the monkey? You talking about the giant monkey? He's a monkey. These are all apes if you're talking about that. Also, this is PoE. Ignore. That's not New World. Okay. Blade Vortex maybe making a comeback. Poison BV looking kind of juicy. I'm just saying. What? What? What is this, dude? Link skills can target damageable minions. Your linked minions take 73% less damage on killing a rare monster. A random linked minion grants its modifiers for 60 seconds. What is that? Wait a minute, did we read this wrong? On killing a rare monster, a random link minion gains its modifier. Okay, so it's Headhunter for your minions that are linked. Can you link more than one minion? Why does it say random linked? Can't you only have one link? I don't like this change. I don't think this is quality of life. This is skipping mechanic. Like, that was part of Heist. I think it was perfectly... It didn't take very long to level them up. So if you wanted to run Heist, it didn't take very long. The part of Heist that takes a long time for... like rogues or whatever is the gear, dude. Getting them the right gear and stuff takes forever. But I don't like this change, but It's here nonetheless. Who? What? Who, what, when, where, why? Oh, Tadoni was just having a schizo episode. You know him. You know a little bit of schizo, and seeing things, and yeah. Good luck in the boss fight. I'm not. Yo! Wait a minute. Those orbs cost you 1C each, and you would sell yellow beasts in bulk for like around that. That's actually super. Like, bestiary might be profitable now. Well, it was already profitable, but it might be even more like worth looking into now. Yo! Wait, how does that work? Wait, so I'm using an alteration. I hit Alt. I go to an AUG. If I release Alt, does it go back to an alteration? Let's see the frog that Tadoni is talking about. Let's see the frog Tadoni is talking about. Hey, Devontae wins the pig fight, dude. Let's see the frog. Oh. 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 Nothing to see here, boys. Nothing to see here. Yo! Oh my God! Are we blinding, boys? Are we blinding for like the 18th league in a row, man? Is that what we're doing? That's such a good quality of life. I joined people, by the way. Purple. Oh, sick. Nice. Stack decks are in, boys. Yo, I didn't notice that one. Excuse me, what? Excuse me, what? Why would we ever use Remnants of a Corruption then? What? That's a dumb change. Like, that makes it way easier to corrupt our essences, but that makes it where Remnants of Corruption are actually worthless because Vol Orbs are just so much easier to get. That's a bad change. That takes an existing thing and makes it worthless. That's a bad change. W. Holy W. Did that guy just have a fiery bowl coming out of his gut / dick area? Are we for real? What is this? What is that? That's the same size as yours? On screen, right? So, like, you know, you just measure it up to the screen, right? That's what you're saying? Magus all the way. That's kind of cool. That's fucking sick. I'm not gonna lie. I like that a lot. We're probably buying that. We're probably buying that. At minimum. I kind of like that set. It's a cool looking set. Kind of cool portal. Yo, what is that? Okay.
While we're waiting,
I think we know which one we're getting.
Buddy, I don't know if you're aware, but on the bottom right of your screen, under the expand button or to the left of the send message button, there's a button that says continue sub or subscribe. If you click on that, you'll see an option there. It says to subscribe using Prime. It's absolutely free to you, costs nothing. It just takes a couple bucks out of Bezos' wallet, puts it right into Jester. So if you see that button, smash that subscribe Prime button, and we'll get this show on the road. Thank you.
I said I like this supporter pack. We're probably buying this. God damn it. Yeah, that's how all their microtransactions are. So right now, all of the microtransactions that you have for Path of Exile 1, they're not currently all available in Path of Exile 2, but they will be. So all of the microtransactions that you buy for PoE 1 or PoE 2 will be in both games eventually. It's not right now, but yeah, eventually they will all be in both games. That's what they've said that before. They've stated that before. Really, really fucking big W on their part. IMO. You haven't purchased any, which is fine, but you may have done like seasonal achievements that give you free microtransactions that those might not be in PoE 2 right now, but they will be later. But it applies to all microtransactions, not just the ones you purchased, the ones you've earned in game as well. All right. The real questions here. Dude, all right. I'm going to be honest. If the Q&A with Ziggy starts going the direction the last few have gone, we might skip it, bro. Because the last few have been so, like, background information that I don't care about. So we'll find out. But, yeah. You know what I just realized, actually? We are, like, two leagues now where we thought we were going to get a total in-game rework because that's traditionally what has happened. And it hasn't happened for the last two leagues now. This is looking like another minor league, kind of, with just a bunch of quality of life things that are nice. Kind of interesting. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about that. All right, we're off to a bad start. We're talking about background shit that I don't care about. Start talking about the game, please. I'm skipping forward, chat. Don't care about this. I mean, that's kind of interesting, I guess. Yo! We're putting baddies in PoE. You heard Mark, boys. Baddies are coming to PoE. Can we get the goth version? I love me my goth baddies, dude. Come on! Bring it in, Mark. Bring it in. Ah, so the Chayula monks are originating from the Keeper of the Flame people. Okay. Okay, don't care about this anymore. Skipping forward. Okay, here we go. Actual game questions. Here we go. Hmm. Okay. Not really sure how I'm feeling about this yet. Why does you killing the breach monsters make their breach more stable to allow for stronger monsters to come through? Like, think about that from like a lore perspective. Like, if you were watching a movie and then the protagonist was like, "Oh, we got to kill all these things because they're invading our world." But when we kill them all, their stronger versions will come into the world. Okay, well, just don't activate the thing then, and then no monsters will come. Maybe this is like, it doesn't need to make sense. You get better loot for killing more monsters. You just think about it from a player perspective and not the lore perspective. But It does seem a little backwards. Hmm. I wonder then if the Atlas passive tree is going to let you specialize into what type of breach events you're getting then. Because some of these sound like it'll be cool to do like once, and then they're going to be just an annoying time sink. And from the looks of it, there's no more breach splinters. So besides the like blood stuff, what is the unique reward we're getting for doing breach instead of just killing a bunch of rare monsters and maps and going next? Like, why would I be? What? Where's the incentive to spend the extra time in the mechanic? Was there a question in there, Ziggy D? Was there a fucking question? Stop sucking their cock and ask a question. Last Epoch did it, dude. What do you mean? Last Epoch? Well, I guess it wasn't a tree, but they did the same exact thing. Last Epoch did the same exact thing with their new like in-game like skill system or whatever, where you can put gear into certain slots inside the passive tree, where you're getting fucking um bonuses and passives and stuff like that. But then you're also getting to put like gear to dictate what kind of loot and stuff you're getting, and you put that actually in the tree and stuff. So yeah, they kind of stole a little bit of this from Diablo with the pre-alpha like skill tree and like it actually being a tree. And then they took the last Epoch stuff and they took the two things and put them together. So we have seen stuff like this in other games, but it is really cool. I'm not saying it's not. Just stop sucking the cock and ask questions, man. Come on. My guess would be it doesn't happen in PoE 1, but it happens in PoE 2. Because it'd be weird if they only had Zesht. Or wait, who's the boss in PoE 2? It's Zesht, right? Wait, who's the boss in PoE 2? Whatever the boss in PoE, like, there's 3 other freaking Breach Lords, or 4 other Breach Lords. It'd be weird if they only had one, you know? Okay, interesting, I guess. breach rings are in, dude, if breach rings are viable equipment to use, that's gonna make certain, like, the breach recipe, what is that? The skin of the loyal or whatever, those are gonna get really expensive. Chad, I have so much gear on my fucking New World game right now. I have to sort through it eventually. Why is it saying the audio streams? Oh shit, wait a minute. Wait a minute, chat. I just realized I need to go to my YouTube stream real quick. Where's my YouTube? How do I go to my YouTube stream? Does this work? No, that brings up. How do I go to the live version of my? I want to listen to. Oh, maybe I can just do this. Okay, I don't know. Does this work? Right? That's what you're. Yeah, I forgot. Okay, so YouTube and Kick are not hearing the audio at all. I'm such a goofy goober, dude. 1 second, chat. I'm so sorry. I forgot that the audio track that I'm sending to YouTube and Kick is not getting that audio at all. So I've just been streaming and they've been watching literally no audio for a good portion.
Pretty arms that you can grow on yourself. I love that. Just here, have.
All right. 1 second, chat. Is this where I'm at? 206, 50. Yeah. Okay. So we will just do it this way. I've been doing it this way. We'll just do it this way. Hold on. Let me move my camera down. All right, and then we just won't be able to.
Sure. Just plug it into your back. Why not? I mean, we were shoving rusty bits of metal in ourselves and stuff before, so why not continue with that?
Oh,
but these are like, it was in the video, but I didn't really like kind of understand kind of how impactful they'd be until I was messing around with it, especially for leveling. But these are like pretty major skills and an extra layer, especially so there's 16 of them, and you can have 2 of them, and they're like a mixture of auto casting skills.
Okay, I kind of need to. I need to do this real quick. I don't even know. All right, gym. And then, dude, what do I want on? Okay, how about attunement? Attune. Actually, let's do close. Okay, I didn't get any close quarters. Okay, attunement. We'll just look at attunement real quick. No. No. What's the stat I want for the two-handed sword? Oh wait, that's double attunement. Defense slot? No. We want skill slots, I think. Actually, hold on. Go back to the attunement. Let's check the blunderbusses for double or triple attunement. No. Okay, and then let's check skill slots. Don't think we got anything. There's a stat that's good for heavy. Maybe I can do that. No, what's it called? Oh, I don't know what it's called, bro. I think I have a locked one. Dude, I have so many. Trenchant strikes and yeah, all right, so trenchant. We'll just do trench. Trenchant rend. Okay. Trenchant recovery. Okay, I think I can get rid of everything then. Because it doesn't look like I hit anything good. I could check. I don't know what I need on the ice gauntlet though. Like this seems pretty good. Crit damage. Maybe this is fine. But it's base damage actually. Don't think I care about acutely empowered on an ice gauntlet. I think I would rather have ability damage stuff, right? I think I can get rid of everything. Oh, it's base damage, not base ability damage. Oh shit. That's actually good then. Okay, fuck. Let's go back to gym. And then how about vicious? So like this might be good. I'll save that. Wait, are these all the same? Oh, they are all the same. 1.9, 22, 2.8. Wait, they're all exactly the same? Okay, well, that makes it a little bit easier then. Okay, so let's just save one of each of these then. Since they're all going to be the same, right? Yeah, it looks like they're all the same. So I'll just save one of each of them. They're not, yeah, they're bind on pickup, so I can't sell them or anything. We got a fire staff too, right? Locked, and locked. Okay, so I think I can delete all of this now. Cool. Dude, the gear's gonna take longer. All right. Let me loot this stuff real quick, and then we'll keep watching. I wonder if actually maybe I can put this on my second monitor. Jesus, so much loot, dude. All right. Hold on, let me see if I can set this up to go on my second monitor real quick. Settings, video, monitor 2. Yeah. Okay, why did that do anything? There we go. Yes. All right.
Based things, so like on attack or something, and manually cast in some cases as well. Like I had a tornado that was like crazy.
Holy dude, playing on the widescreen so different.
Significant. What's kind of like the plan for how impactful you want these to be, or like, especially at endgame, like they'll definitely like very impactful while leveling.
Obviously, there's always going to be a spectrum of usability, and generally speaking, yeah, they're going to be pretty powerful. But you know how strong characters can get; they can generally outclass everything. That being said, for a long way, they're going to be pretty damn useful. and even beyond then, there's generally you can scale the difficulty of the game like hectically. You'll notice like something I think you observed as well. The numbers on the skills are like out of control.
Yes.
That is because they don't scale with your stats.
Yeah.
Obviously, debuffs on the enemy, anything you debuff on them does. But yeah, they don't scale with your increases. The reason for that is that I wouldn't want it to be that if you're a spellcaster, you have to use one that's doing a spell, you know, because you generally focus on increases. And I didn't want it to be that, now in order to benefit from grafts, you have to really only invest in global damage increases and stuff like that. It would restrict the character builds too much. So we made them not scale with like your character stats. Obviously, again, as said, if you reduce the resistances of the enemy, then the enemy takes more damage, that kind of stuff. But yeah, there's a kind of a lot of them that vary from utility through to just like pure offensive power. They all also just come with stats. So, and yeah, as you said, if you didn't want to, like, there's ones where you use skills and you can use that tactically. You can merge that with some of your abilities, or if you just want to, you know, effectively let it autocast. There are versions for that as well. If you just can't be bothered, that's also fine. And honestly, the worst comes to worst, at the end of the day, they still kind of just give some mods, and that's fine. And they are obviously used to, if you want to get one that just like specializes in harvesting more graft blood, that's also a thing you can do, because those systems are linked. Like the grafts do gain the graft blood, which is what you give to the Genesis tree to give the items. So there's kind of a nice interlink between,
I mean, they should really be replacing the power that you previously got from mercenaries, right? Like, if the league needs to give you a, you know, something that's going to fit in that power curve. So therefore, you can look at it in a similar.
They are mercenaries on your back.
It doesn't have to be that
way. You could say that. Yeah.
That's what I was kind of thinking when I was messing with it. It's like, okay, so we're gonna have two of these. It definitely feels like how I was looking at the mercenaries and picking mercenaries that had like two.
I'm honestly not that interested in these skills.
So the design of mercenaries has informed this.
They all have like 30 second cooldowns.
Sadly, you
and
can't
shit.
gear your arms.
No,
Can't put items
can't put a
on
bunch of
them.
rings
You
on.
get some gloves.
Tell your arm to hold a sword.
Wait a minute.
That would have been.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. If these do not scale with your stats, if they don't use your stats at all, how does reflect damage work? If my character has reflect immunity, do those stats get contributed into the calculation? Or am I going to hit myself for 104,000 fucking physical damage?
The way Octavian explained the graphs to me was he said they're not you, and I'm like, somehow that's really creepy to hear. It's like they're attached to you, but they're not a part of you. That was explaining the scaling. Like that's why they don't scale with your stats, because they're not you.
They're independent life forms, and therefore don't benefit from your passive tree.
We didn't do this, but we had a desire to do unique ones, which I thought was kind of going to be fun. We might do this later, like going core, we'll do it, but we're like, what if you, and I think it was Octavian's like, what if you had a leg growing out of your back? What does that mean? And, you know, I was like, what if you had like a good jacked quadrilla arm or something? Because I was like, you can just have unique ones where they have like just like deformations, and you can have like random, you know, deformed crazy things going on, or like, you know, I think I had a design. I was like, what if there was one that was like converted? You're like, I don't care about the league. It converts all graft blood to gold or something, and it's a kind of like cursed pirate treasure arm or something. And you know, we'll see if that goes somewhere later. But I think that could be kind of fun to play around with. So
there's definitely some sort of like biomutant kind of combining of limbs and genetics and stuff potential here, maybe.
Yeah, later mechanic, right? Like nice to have these things you can expand on. So.
Yeah, so it looks like you can synergize with them, but you don't necessarily scale them directly, like you're saying. You can debuff enemies and things like that. While we pan down to some of our additional questions, I've been noticing some that get mentioned a lot in chat that we'll kind of transition over to briefly. So WASD gets mentioned a lot, like if that's something that's planned for Path of Exile 1, if it's feasible, what goes into
so
that?
in order,
it's a pretty big deal.
In order for WASD to happen in PoE 1, we need to get the rigs from PoE 2. In order for that to happen, we need to finish moving all the microtransactions over, which has definitely been a bit of a slow task that we kind of, you know, need to get through.
Yeah.
And so effectively it would be,
what did he just
like,
say?
We do want to do that at some point.
Wait, what did he just say?
And then after that point,
Potential here, maybe.
Yeah, later mechanic, right? Like nice to have these things you can expand on. So
Yeah, so it looks like you can synergize with them, but you don't necessarily scale them directly, like you're saying. You can debuff enemies and things like that. While we pan down to some of our additional questions, I've been noticing some that get mentioned a lot in chat that we'll kind of transition over to briefly. So WASD gets mentioned a lot, like if that's something that's planned for Path of Exile 1, if it's feasible, what goes into
so
that?
in order
I thought he said mercenaries.
We need to get the rigs from PoE 2. In order for that to happen, we need to finish moving all the microtransactions over, which has definitely been a bit of a slow task that we kind of need to get through.
Yeah.
And so effectively it would be like we do want to do that at some point. And then after that point we can make WSD for PoE 1. But yeah, it's just a question of getting through all that work and then we can do it. Like I'm not against it by any means. It's just, it's just I want it to happen. It's just getting all those things moved over to the new rigs is the limiting factor.
Yeah, and you want it to be kind of reaching a certain threshold, it seems like, of quality.
Well, I mean, so yes, you can do it. You can do it by
Like a
just like
controller.
where the character just rotates.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say that gets like that. The quality of that is really not great. Like I don't think it feels good. So yeah, I kind of want to make do it with the proper rigs that we get. And look, that would be so beneficial to everything anyway. Like we're highly motivated to do that because it means that we don't have to rig a bunch of stuff for the old rigs anymore, which a bunch of our artists would definitely appreciate. So yeah, like we will get that done, and then but yeah, it's going to take a while. Like it could be quite a while.
The biggest benefit from the rigs is just that we're going to then be able to actually do a lot more new skills.
Animation
in PoE 1 as well that actually use new animations, and it's not going to be an absolute nightmare to try and make. So that's going to be epic when we actually get to that point and can just be like, okay, floodgates open, let's go and make a whole bunch of new skills that are using new animations. Because you'll notice, even though we have a bunch of new skills in this patch, it's all using the existing animations and different like means of delivering it. So generally speaking, we have kind of your spell projectile, spell AoE, spell buff. They're kind of separated into all these categories.
Yep.
And so when you generally do a buff, you just use the buff one, and AoE use AoE one. But as a result, we don't have like just like cool bespoke things where you do a flip while doing crazy stuff like that. We're not going to be able to really get that in PoE 1 just because the cost is insane to animating that. You got to do that on 7 different characters, 7 different rigs
with all the different weapon sets.
Yeah, with every single weapon set. And because generally PoE 1 doesn't have like as much restrictions on the weapons to skill association, you'd be like, it's not great. It's really not great, and it would be like the cost of doing that would mean we'd have to do so much less other stuff. So yeah, I mean, just a random tangent on why the rigs would be beneficial as well. Like immediately, I'm just like, oh my god, please, I want to do new skills that are like.
But we will do it. We will do it eventually. It's just porting all those stuff.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting insight that you even plan to kind of bring this like PoE 2 rigging system over to PoE 1 for animations and things like that, because that indicates that the future of Path of Exile 1 is not like very static visually. Like obviously we're seeing new stuff getting ported back, but potentially a lot of stuff getting remade and updated, and like PoE 1 is anticipated to change a lot in that regard over time.
Well, I mean, yeah, it just like for no other reason that it makes our lives easier, we need to do it. But yes, it will have the side effect of making the game look better too, which I guess is good.
So another thing I saw mentioned in chat quite often was like asking for Trial of the Ancestors and what's the plans or status of that.
I mean, we want to do it. That ultimately is just a resource thing again. It's like it's one of those ones that it can't be one-to-one. It was too gameable, too solvable. Like got to a point where it was like this is the strat you do. We need to like fix a bunch of stuff with it. It's not out of the question. It's honestly just a like whenever we assess the scope, it comes up all the time. And it's like, oh, we could do this, or this. What do we? And it's always going to cost to something, and it just has been so far. At least 326, 327 that we've wanted to make sure that we had other priorities, I guess it's safe to say. So TBD, who knows? These every single time we don't like plan too far in advance with the stuff. So generally when we are at the next league or the next 2 leagues worth of discussions, it's like we have a list of things that we could do. It's in that list. I'm sure it'll come up at some point. So we'll see.
Feel free to be coy about this, but it seems like since something similar is occurring in Path of Exile 2, that might help you kind of like solve some of these questions for PoE 1. Maybe that gives people an idea of a time frame.
Well, as I said once, if obviously there's a could do with respect to PoE 2, but if we manage to go down that route, we get to do the exact same thing we did with Breach here, which is that if we have all the monsters made, and a lot of art made, and a lot of encounters, so even if it doesn't appear the exact same way, it'll allow us to do a massive shortcut, which would mean that all of a sudden it is way more possible to add as a feature without having to compromise too much else. So
nice.
Yeah,
I can see that. All right, let's talk endgame, and I'm sure you're anticipating a discussion.
Finally!
Tier 17 modifiers, modifier design, their addition to memory strand maps, risk scarabs, and map modifier effect. So I list all these things out because they all come together to form a bit of a tangled mess of late endgame. And I'm just curious, like, before we even get into like what people are asking or what people are saying about it, I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are on this topic, I guess, of tier 17 modifiers and their impact on late endgame.
I mean, the main thing I'd say there, like just as an overall view on it, is that like T17s, there's this tension between, like, it is not a good place to be when there's a tension between what players are enjoying and what the thing we want to try and do is. Like, that's like a problem that needs to be resolved. So effectively, it's like, what T17s are supposed to do in theory is something that we want, which is to say, like, that like you get something that you don't necessarily like want to have to play against, and like you have to actually, and you have to deal with it or come up with a way to get around that. But in practice, players don't want to do that, so there's something clearly wrong here. So something does need to change, but it's a little bit tricky to come up with something that we want to, like, that both sort of satisfies our desires for like like interesting challenges that are different each time that you play them. That like all the there's like new and interesting things you encounter, but yet also something that the players actually like. So there's a problem for sure.
So what
okay, but
for tier
all right, hold on. I get
think
where you're coming from, where you want the risk to be worth the reward, and you want the risk to be high because the reward is high, right? And you want players to have to deal with mechanics that are hard for their build and stuff like that. Then delete Trickster. Because the way it stands, Trickster can circumvent like everything. And everybody just plays fucking Trickster to do tier 17 maps on day one.
Necessarily the desire for T17s as such. It's more the desire that you have like like interesting combinations of mods happen, and they're like, oh, this is a new challenge I have to rise to, and like, how am I going to deal with this, and that kind of stuff. And like, that's something that like in practice players aren't like really liking. So as I said, there's a problem here for sure. It's just a question of how we kind of
100%. They're not in the right spot.
Yeah,
I am of the like, we need to go back to the drawing board a little bit here, because like we, and to be fair, we are like trying to band-aid it, but we can only do that for so long. We kind of just need to reinvent something here a little bit. Like they were intended to be the penultimate bosses that allow you to do the Ubers.
Right, yeah.
But they're also now, also this non-sustainable map, and where you have to, obviously a lot of people feel like they have to trade for it, and then in the other cases you've got a bunch of modifiers people hate. You've got this like thing where because of the mods you end up devolving down to the in-game strat becomes, as you said, stacking map mod effect and modifiers via risk. And it's like it's not fun, it's not ideal. We tried to narrow the gap with T16 and a half, so that kind of worked, and then you get some other weird problems where like, because those can be APROP corrupted and tier 17s can't, there's some weird issues there as well. And honestly, it's like, it is a kind of mess. And we intend to keep band-aiding it until we can drawing board, but I would expect you'd probably see a pretty...
I think it needs a full redesign.
Yes.
It needs a full redesign to try and see if we can come up with a way to both achieve what we're hoping to achieve, but also make the players not dislike it, right?
T17.
So is this maybe like separating out what you're trying to do with the tier 17 modifiers and what you're trying to do with this penultimate like boss thing that is like the lead up to the Ubers?
That is a split at the very least.
Okay.
I don't think that we've worked out exactly how this can work, though. Like,
I don't think that like the best, most rewarding content in the game should also be the tickets to the Ubers, and in that even that's like broad and sounds weird when you first say it, but
it's
like
so hard because
it's kind of, you know what I mean, where it's something's wrong.
There's a fundamental tension with, you want the hardest content in the game to be the most rewarding,
yeah,
but like the moment you do that, there's all sorts of incentives that come into play that mean that people don't like it when like there's a map now that you can't run because the because the mods are not good for you and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, people just need to get over that, I think.
Then there's also...
I'm one of those people a lot of times.
It's just...
But I just need to get over
it. It's a problem.
It's a little bit of a
If that's how you want to do it, then I'll just get over it.
Any individual part of this I look at,
Or I'll
I'm like,
adapt.
well, this is actually okay in some circumstances.
Right.
Like, it's okay for there to be some modifiers, maybe
Right.
Like, I'm sure, I think you guys feel the same, where it's like, it's okay for there to be some modifiers that are like better for other builds.
But in the
worse for
moment
others.
that it's like, it
But there's
feels
a
like a
point where it
huge
breaks.
economic penalty to that,
So the
you're
economy kind of
immediately
affects
like,
that.
you're immediately kind of...
But you get the thing right now where you stack the risk scarabs, and then it's like, okay, only Trickster and Juggernaut can play it as a way it's perceived. And, it's, again, we are changing a lot of these variables, by the way. We're not just leaving it for 327.
Right.
Like, we are changing risk scarab. We are changing some stuff around map mod effect. We are changing...
Good. Nice.
Okay.
There are bits and pieces changing. I'm not going to stop band-aiding just because we have a grand plan for the future. Well, we have an absence of a grand plan, a desire to have a grand plan for the future. But we will. I would be very surprised. I know I shouldn't be promising content in the follow expansions because variables always change, but I'll be very surprised if we don't do a more drastic shift in 328 to solve this problem, because it's now long enough that it's not worth it. So obviously, hopefully the changes we are making improve things in a pretty meaningful way, is shake up the meta a little bit. But there's still going to be some
in-game
woes
meta shakeup coming, boys.
But hopefully people can be excited for...
Shit, what am I going to do? Dude, what am I going to do?
Whatever the thing is to come. But it shouldn't be too hard for us to come up with something. Honestly, similar to how we did 031 for PoE 2, if we can come up with something that is just like a universal success and like is blatantly a win and isn't going to, lower the value of people's economy mid-league and stuff like that, I wouldn't be... against, if we can come up with something, because we're obviously going to design it soon. If we can come up with something or a piece of that something to deploy to, mid-league, mid-Keepers of the Flame, I will push for that. We'll just have to see if that's something we can actually do.
I don't know if I like the idea of that.
Now all of X will become devalued, and I don't want to ruin people's mid-league economy and wealth and just destroy it because
it would depend on what the change is, but that could be really bad.
There's considerations to make.
Yeah, from speaking to Octavian about the tier 17 modifiers as well, I can tell they're kind of weighing on him, like he really wants to do stuff with them.
I think we're all on the same page. I honestly don't even know if anyone really is disagreeing with... Like maybe in little ways, but I think everyone's kind of...
okay, I gotta ask, like, is there someone who loves the 3 seconds out of every 10 seconds you can't deal damage modifier? Like,
I like it.
Okay, tell me why.
But I play support characters. I don't deal damage.
Okay. All right, you're gonna jump on this grenade. How does that modifier come into being?
No, I mean, to be fair, I like things that are just a bit more... I'm a bit more masochistic in that regard.
That's
so,
what I was gonna say.
I'm not attempting to put my masochistic views on the player base. I understand that, generally speaking, people aren't for that kind of thing. But I also like trying
for
those
that,
things,
dude.
seeing
like,
how it is, and
I'm fine with like modifiers like that, where it's like, hey, every 3 seconds out of 10, you can't deal damage. I'm just not fine with that in content that I'm running all the time. I'm fine with that being like challenge content, like something that I'm doing to like get on a leaderboard or something, like where it's like the same across the board for like everybody, and like it's supposed to be a difficult thing that if you can even do it, like that's like an achievement. I'm okay with it in like those kind of settings. I'm not okay with it in a setting of I'm going to do this content to farm for loot for like 8 hours straight, brain off mentality. Like there's a time and place for those kind of modifiers, and maps are not the place for that. If you wanted to do something like that for like a league, like maybe you had like some sort of like challenge league thing where like it was a tower and each floor was the same for everybody, and actually climbing the tower was challenging and that sort of thing. That could be cool implementation of that. But not in T17 maps.
There are places, there are things where these can exist. Like if this was behind a couple more layers of some sort of more niche corruption mechanic where players, or some crafting system over here where players can kind of choose to do it but don't feel forced to do it.
Yes.
Those things can exist.
He understands.
I want to make sure we keep that kind of stuff.
Mark is a homie, dude.
In the
gets
broad
it.
mod pool, some of these mods are, they're not really working.
Yeah, it was
evidently
that one, and the like action speed reduction from using your skills, and I think there was the petrification statues get mentioned a lot as well.
It's the drowning orbs plus that plus it's just like, okay, look, thanks for making me slow. I mean the thing about slowness is you do feel it, hence why. Whereas like often you can just be like, I'm just gonna ignore that. That's a nothing mod.
Physically painful sometimes.
So
True.
but it's a bit overboard right now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I see the problem here. Like I'm so torn on this because I want these sorts of. I get the idea of these modifiers being like things that you can feel like that they have a bit of an impact, and they're not just like.
Well, I don't want everything to just be another multiplier making the monster get closer to one-shotting you. You know what I mean?
Mechanics to happen.
Yeah, you want something, but there are some that are okay, and there are some that are not, and we just have.
Maybe it's just okay for the players to be like uncomfortable with
how do you feel about immunities in D2? It's another sort of similar situation, right? Where it's like it forces you to change something about what you're doing, and a lot of people just really hate that. Yeah, and it's kind of like a similar sort of situation, I think.
Yeah, I'm the same. Like I like the idea, but I don't like the execution of that at all. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I think we're actually running into a similar situation with this.
This is it is kind of your. I mean, we've danced with this a few times in the past. We had some immunities on some pinnacle bosses and stuff like that. We talked about it in previous chats a long time ago. But so it sounds like some of those modifiers are changing then, if nothing else, maybe as the band-aids in the
sure. I mean, there's band-aids like that, but there is something like wrong here though to solve. That's all. I don't know if I can say more than that, really. Yeah.
With the map mod effect and the Atlas tree in particular, I'd rather there was like 15 different ways to scale difficulty and reward, as opposed to just like, here's the stat I stack, and it's just like straight multiplicative.
Yeah.
It's. I don't know. I want, because obviously a lot of the stuff on the tree is affecting the leagues and the content. I want more than just map mod effect to be the way that you can multiply. And so it's like, do I want to focus on this or do I want to focus on that? And there's like different builds within the like making things more harder and more rewarding.
Just delete it.
But yeah, right now it's just like, well, obviously I just stack all of that. Like quantifiably, it's obviously better, and like this, I don't know. It's a little bit lame, honestly. It's kind of just a boring thing right now, and I don't know. This again, drawing board, 100% back to it, revisit it. I'd be surprised if we're not doing something for 328 as much as I told myself I wasn't going to promise following expansion content, but
there's some patch notes coming out later today. Is that, or is it later?
Yeah, I don't know what the time is, but our 11 a.m. NZ or whatever it is.
I wonder if those are full patch notes. They're already out for us because we were late to the party, but
that's just generally the case because patch note writing is a surprisingly difficult task. It takes quite a while to get all that stuff.
I mean, you've got an extra week to make additional changes. Like people are like,
there's always that too.
Get extra ideas and stuff, and some of this stuff may be in there, but it can be. Have a look at some of those in there, but it sounds like we're kind of on the same page with you guys, at least regarding a lot of this.
Yeah, I don't think you'll. I mean, obviously, it obviously needs attention. So yeah.
All right, it's cool. So on Endgame though, in like a longer term, from a longer term perspective, we have a pretty good Atlas Endgame system right now. Like I think it's pretty well liked, apart from this issue that we just talked about. Like overall, the core of it seems great. Like I can sing many praises about it. But previously, like historically, you've done a lot of complete endgame overhauls.
Yes!
And to the point that it was definitely a trend. Like it seemed to be like the way that you guys would go about it. Like every so often, there'd be a major endgame overhaul.
Good question,
Is that still
Ziggy.
the case?
Thank you.
Like have you achieved something that you kind of want to keep and maybe change instead?
I don't think that we would want to not overhaul the endgame again. Like the reason that it's not like we're like, this is what we're set on, we're now just going to keep this forever. Certainly not. It's more just it comes down to like it is hard to come up with the ability to do a scope for that, and it's been especially hard since we've had like PoE 2 in in early access. So it's kind of like we just need to get back to a point again where like that level of scope can happen. And I don't think will be necessarily that far away from the point where that should be fine again. It's just that like, it really is just a question of like, can we get the ability and time to do it? But yeah, like I don't think, as I said, I don't think it will necessarily be that far away before we do something like that again. And like you do need to change the stuff every once in a while. Like it does become stagnant eventually.
Interesting.
So like yeah, I think we should do another big overhaul.
Yes.
But obviously, the term overhaul can mean a lot of different things, right?
We should be careful with overhaul.
Like it's not like it's going to change into like a it'll still be fundamentally the PoE1 Atlas and the none of the overhauls we did changed it too fundamentally. I would say in some respects. I mean, yeah, there's big changes, but
yeah.
I guess it depends on how you look at it. But it's not like we're going to suddenly be like, oh yeah, we're changing it to be like a PoE2 like system or something like that. Like we it'll.
Please don't.
We do need would need new pinnacles and new challenges there.
Jonathan,
and stuff like that's something that we.
Jonathan. Oh fuck. Where was I? Shit.
Change the stuff every once in a while. Like it does become stagnant eventually. In early hard, not overhaul the end game again. Like they need to go far away before we do something. We should be, but that
and cycling out ball and the
we're somewhere around here. Anyways, Jonathan, with like the biggest of puppy dog eyes that I can give you, with the most like childish innocence that I can beg, please no. With the PoE2 mapping, don't put it in my PoE1, please. And I know you weren't suggesting that, but the words were connected in a sentence, and I just need to like reiterate with all that is holy. Please do not do that.
While it does become stagnant eventually.
Okay. Where were we?
Yeah, like I don't think, as I said, I don't think it's kind of like we just need to get back to a point.
Is that still the case?
So this is what we're set on. We're now just going to keep this forever. Certainly, like PoE2 in in early access. So it's kind of like we just need to get back to a point again where like that level of scope can happen. And I don't think it will be necessarily that far away from the point where that should be fine again. It's just that like it really is just a question of like can we get the ability and time to do it? Yeah, like I don't think, as I said, I don't think it will necessarily be that far away before we do something like that again. And like you do need to change the stuff every once in a while. Like it does become stagnant eventually.
I agree. Interesting.
So
I kind of feel like I think it is a little stagnant right now. If I'm
we should do another big overhaul. But obviously, the term overhaul can mean a lot of different things, right?
We should be careful with.
We were. It's not like it's going to change into like a it'll still be fundamentally the PoE1 Atlas and the. Like we suddenly be like, oh yeah, we're changing it to be like a PoE2 like system or something like that.
Yeah,
like,
no, please no.
But we do need, would need new pinnacles and new challenges there and that sort of stuff. Like that's something that we will have to do eventually.
Yeah, it's interesting actually that they are introducing 3 new Uber bosses. They're introducing the 3 new like bosses that are from like the memories or whatever, but they didn't attach that with a in-game overhaul. Like that was the time to do it, I feel like, but fair enough.
That kind of stuff, like escalating the narrative and cycling out bosses and cycling out characters and changing all that stuff is like generally pretty harmless and generally cool. Like you're not really messing with the systems and the core of what people like and the cycle that people like. So like obviously that's always just a nice win when you get to be like, all right, what are the next set of what much like Breach has now evolved and gone forward in time, so will the in-game story at some point, and we will do that for sure. And it's just like there's always mechanics that come with it, and sometimes if you add those mechanics, they can't coexist with some existing ones because it overcomplicates everything, it becomes a mess. I would hate to have I don't want to add more systems and now all of a sudden it's extra steps even more over to have to do on your maps before you run them and that kind of stuff. So sometimes things need to be replaced, but like we appreciate the fact that PoE1's endgame is in a pretty overall. I mean, everything always has its problems. I'm not going to deny it. We just discussed them, as you said, but it's in a pretty damn good spot, and there's so much good about it. And I don't want to ruin that. So we'll be very careful with that stuff. But
no, don't be careful. It's okay to piss us off.
What you might find is that we use this T17 thing as a motivation to go, what is the redesign? Okay, let's use that as the crux of what we design around
hate that.
And fix the problem both narratively and like game design wise by removing these problems from the game.
I don't hate that at all.
Something new in its stead. And
I think what I'm most curious about is like if let's say you went into a meeting today to try and come up with a new end game for PoE 1, like an overhaul for it, would it still have an Atlas passive tree like it has now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I already,
there's no way you'd get rid of that.
I already know.
It's too good, right?
I already know what it is, so I already have it in my mind.
Oh, okay. You were saying before last time that
It's deep in my mind.
you've
but
got
it's
a story arc planned.
Well,
out.
the Secrets of the Atlas was intended to be part one
Yeah.
of a multi-part, right? So
definitely set
I've
us
got
up.
the other parts, or at least most of it. And yes, the tree is still there. And honestly, I don't think anything is fundamentally in my plan in my head.
We back? Welcome
is
back.
changing enough to cause any concern. So, I mean,
All right, great,
it's all for the better. I'm pretty confident of that as well.
great.
And now everyone will have to just wait to see what those
Yes.
ideas are for an undetermined amount of time.
I assume we'll get a follow up to the story, maybe next expansion, perhaps, of following along what's happened. That was pretty interesting. Last one.
We'll see. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about balance. There wasn't too much revealed about balance in the reveal trailer stuff itself, but I know it was mentioned that there would be a bit of balance stuff going on here, and I've had a chat to a few people and scoped out some things. Like, for example, there is the unplayed assassin that gets asked about a lot, and it seems like something's happening for assassin.
Yeah, that actually came kind of recently.
New World is dying, by the way. 8
we were
p.m.
just
and no
like,
queue. Let's see how
Can
it
we
is this weekend.
I think what I had said, and my intention was to do this for both games, is like we should at least look at, like at least with respect to ascendancies, look at the least played class, especially if it's been consistently least played.
Yeah.
And make sure that that's on the radar and getting some level of improvement.
Assassin
and even if
rework?
it means we have a go at it, and if the scope's too high, we do it a bit later, and if the scope's within spec, we do it immediately. In this case, yeah, we looked at the assassin. It was like 40% lower, at least on the primary leagues. You know, it was like much lower usage than even the next class, and then, you know, so it wasn't doing very well. And it's been the case for a little while. So we were like, look, let's just do something. Like, come on, it's better than doing nothing. So obviously we just put together what we could over a couple days and kind of mix and match. We had like 3 or 4 different iterations, and you know, it came up when we were looking at it. You know, it was like the whole. You have the interesting thing. You go and look. You look at the class, and it's like, why is the ruthless poison node better than the non-ruthless poison node? Weren't the classes non-ruthless meant to be a bit weaker? And then it was kind of like, oh, okay, well, that's a thing we can maybe draw inspiration from, and you know, we just did our whole like process for
Amazing.
that. But yeah, so we teased that last night, whatever the time.
32K in game.
And
That's pretty good for a weekday,
you know,
I feel like.
hopefully people
No?
enjoy it and play it. But yeah, I kind of want to get into the rhythm of every expansion. At least we look at, not necessarily change because it depends on the scope a bit, but we at least give it a go of making sure we look at the worst class no matter what, even if ascendancy classes aren't part of our, like, you know, the package of things that we're wanting to improve. Because sometimes we do a focus on the ascendancy classes, other times skills, other times this, other times
This
that.
time last week was
And,
50K.
but
I mean,
was
to be
like,
fair, last week was
this is
launch
pretty
week.
bad. Let's do something about it this time and see if we can be consistent with that. No promises, but you know, we'll try.
And there's a little bit of a wild card in the mix here with Bloodline Ascendancies. So just to clarify, these are Ascendancies on top of your original class that you can choose where to put your points.
Same point pool. And the reason a lot of people ask, or immediately are like, well, why don't you give separate points like Affliction? And the real reason is
Crazy falls off 19K people? Not
combinations
really.
are great, but also I didn't want to have to water down the power of the points. That's too much power creep, like to add to a character to be able to give trees at large. And so there was that interesting part of it. The other second part is that we wanted to make sure that there weren't enough points that you could put all 8, at least generally speaking. So you'll find most of the classes only have 1 to 3 notables, kind of up to 6 points worth that you can spend.
Yep.
And this is so always no
I think,
matter what ascend.
I think the New World fall off is totally understandable because it, like, you gave all your content away for free, so you're bringing back a lot of new players, but you're introducing a whole new content system, so there's no information on what they're supposed to be doing. So they start trying to figure out what they're supposed to be doing, and people are still figuring it out, and they can't find answers, and they just are like, okay, well, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Time to quit.
to you are still matters.
Makes sense to me.
I didn't want to just make it that literally the entire game, no matter what base class you are, where you start on the tree, is the same. If it happened to be that a certain bloodline was OP, it's, which I'm sure one of them probably is.
And I don't think a lot of people are
all of a sudden now every single person is just this one
liking
thing.
the
It wanted
loot
to be
baron.
like, nah,
That's true. All the
I
info
think
out there kind of sucks. Yeah.
We want to do a feature that adds as much in-game build permutations as possible.
Yeah.
Well, and
I still don't
also
know what I'm supposed to be
what's
looking
cooler
for
than
on
just
my
being
gear
able to take the
for
powers or learn the
tanking
powers of
build
your
at
favorite
least.
boss for the purpose of a fantasy.
Well, I
let's
kinda
mix
know,
and
but
match
not
these
really.
things, and now you get this cool okay, I'm a Templar. I'm all about holy powers, but I'm also going to embrace my dark
I've kind
side
of been
over
switching up
here,
to
or maybe
trying
the
to get
ways of the
DPS gear right
Asmiri,
now.
and you get like a Shabi Guardian thing or something. Oh, sorry, I've got support classes on my brain all the time. So, you have your Slayer something, So,
Yeah.
the permutations honestly are endless. And obviously metas are found and builds are created and all of that.
Yeah, I've done the same thing, but like I was watching I think I was watching Baggins the other day, and he said something that like I would never have known if he didn't say this. And it was something to do with the fact that like there are certain modifiers on gear that don't stack. And I forget what fucking affixes he said, but he was talking about an amulet and like your armor pieces and how you don't want to have the same stat because they don't stack. And I was like, wait, what? Did you look at this back in spreadsheet? No, I haven't yet. I should. But yeah. I would never have guessed that any affixes on any gear don't stack if they don't exclusively say that in the freaking description. You need to look at it? Okay.
But what we obviously find is that, there's a few awesome perks here that I kind of like, is that we can add motivation to doing certain content that otherwise you wouldn't normally do. That's great. We can add this for future content very easily, right? There's probably other bosses that you're like, oh, we can do this and this and this. Like, it's very easy to expand this and take it away. And the reason we're able to do that is because it is an in-game feature. It's not like overcomplicating the campaign and that player's experience. Like, you wouldn't want a second class in the campaign. People were like, holy, I've already got a tree and I've got this tree.
You mean a third class?
A second. It's like, I've got too many classes. There's too much stuff going on. So being able to keep it in the end game is an in-game unlockable thing. Where we can expand this feature over time. Now,
I'm not convinced
under the assumption it succeeds. Again, we'll listen to the feedback.
The second ascendancy things are going to be very good.
Assuming it does well, again, pretty high confidence. Yeah, it will remain and we'll keep expanding, keep extrapolating, keep changing. And then it's yet another lever where we get to add so many different builds, because one bloodline being able to then be paired with all 19 ascendancy classes is just like, all right, we've got a lot of stuff going on here, a lot of different options. I
think the only way to get Exile fast is PvP
actually
stuff.
real excited to see.
I think
what happens here. More than most things, I'm always like kind of excited to see what players do with things, but like here,
I got knocked off.
I don't know. But let's see what happens. Like, it's gonna be real cool, and I suspect you'll get, like, for quite a while, people narrowing down on exactly what the perfect combinations are for different things. And,
Well, this definitely seems like one of those things where you just design something cool and we'll see what players do with it, because there's too many permutations there, right? Like, I don't know what the math on that is, but it's pretty crazy, the amount of like new nodes.
Number.
Yes, several
infinite. No, not
several dozen new nodes accessible to all of the existing ascendancies. That's a lot of numbers.
Yeah. I'm like thoroughly excited. I'm gonna just do the whole, like, what boss do I feel like being this league? I'll just see if I can make that work, and then I'm actually gonna go backwards. I'm gonna pick my bloodline based on what boss I want to kind of embrace.
What PvP method would be fastest?
Then I'll pick my
World PvP.
I'll go from there, and then I'll pick my skill, and I'll
I don't know specifically
flavor building on this.
Well, if there's no mercenaries, I need to be a good mercenary to my friends. That's
I think CTF is probably the fastest, depending on, like, if if you can get it, if you have a group that can like close out the game really quick,
well, right?
Yeah, 100%.
CTF is probably the fastest.
And saw someone asking about Forbidden.
But if you're doing
Flesh and Flame, I
solo
assume that would
stuff
work
and
with
like
this.
can't rely
Not
on
with these.
CTF like
That
wins
doesn't say
and
there won't be
stuff,
some future uniques that
I think
Yeah,
Baggins
that's
was
what-
saying.
We'll see what
There's
happens.
an option there, isn't there?
I think Baggins was saying like fort capturing and stuff is pretty like easy content. It was baller. I have not done any PvP still. I've done 0 still. I want to, but I need gear, dude. I don't have any gear.
Okay.
More Forbidden Flesh and Flame. I don't know what I want to call them. Yeah.
All right. We're continuing on the balance topic,
Gilmore!
from asking around the PvP
You
community.
suck,
Some of the more
you
common
jackass.
things that just kind of come up was
Why don't you
well,
shut
the
the
most
hell
popular thing
up?
was just the general idea of
How are you doing on umbral crystals, by the way? Because I'm almost capped. My problem is I don't have a build. Yeah, but gear score doesn't matter, dude. I need the perks to be good. The gear score doesn't matter. You're 2K out of 4K? I'm 3,600 out of 4K right now. I need gear with decent perks so I can start upgrading them.
buffing underprivileged skills, like giving them some love. So you mentioned this idea of like looking at the worst thing in terms of ascendancies. Is that something you want to do with skills
Yeah,
as well?
we're always there's a little bit of
You're like 600 start of the day. Yeah, I forget what I was at,
For
but
example,
I was at.
yes,
I didn't
there's
have very
obviously
much
the core
either.
skills that are bad. Sometimes those are then enabled by something else going on.
I did almost
some
a
other
full
feature
world
getting added,
tour on
uniques,
fucking
whatever,
chest
but
runs
most of the
today.
time, yeah, they're just, as you said, underprivileged. We've done a
Trade
decent
post, yeah,
chunk
maybe.
of numerical changes here, mostly
I got like
numerical.
50K, I think.
Some are, I don't want to say unsalvageable, but like,
Damn.
you know, they don't have the same level of different multiplicative scaling
gonna
that
check
other
real
skills
quick.
could get. There's not too many though.
Oh, yeah,
And they
60K.
require more. What I'm getting at there is they require more of a rework in order to actually become, you know, truly viable. That being said, yes, there are plenty that always need numerical improvements. I don't know, and then you got things like the Trathan gems, right? Cool concept. You know, 90% of them weren't really seeing any use.
Yeah.
A few were, and now those are going.
They weren't even
for,
a cool
I believe, the
concept.
heist
Like they
is what it
didn't
is.
do anything, man.
But as meanwhile, also full balance pass. So hopefully some more come to the foreground there, and you know,
Yeah, so
so
lots
on.
of
So
buffs
like,
for those.
yeah, but like honestly, this is like a kind of endless task. It's like almost like you could just never stop. So like
Yeah.
we like to just do batches at a time and send it, and we try and do as many as we can. But like each require discussions. They can be quite time consuming. Some are more obvious, where it's like okay, obvious increase, and others are like, do we want to do this or do we want to rework it? And then you get lost in a rework discussion. It's important to like cut the time. And it's like, actually, look, for now, buff it. We'll come back to it later. But yeah, like we get through as many as we can. We've done a bunch. You know, I could always say, hope ideally we'd do more, but like I don't think, again, there's no real end
And
point
no
to that. So
invite.
yes,
Wow.
sure.
I don't want to hear and no invite from the guy who is bitching about how he can't get into dungeons and never even talks to me about getting into the dungeons with him. I did what every normal human being in this game is doing and went to the recruitment channel, bro, and said, hey, X World Tour. Says you're playing nothing? What, you can't press O in game, bro? You can't press... that's what your status says for me all the time, by the way. I never see that you're playing a game. I don't know why. I see other people are playing game, and you said that your activity thing is on share, so... You don't know I'm on? What do you mean? No way? Yeah, we've talked about this before. I never see that you're... Here, I'll show you. See? It shows nothing for me. Yeah, I don't know why. We've talked about this before.
I wanted this patch to be very class centric in terms of balance, and like we did.
Yeah,
I would say we did a decent chunk, but it's, you know, we didn't get to cover every base 100%. So obviously, like, you got the bloodline classes, you've got grafts, which are character centric, and then we got the whole set of new skills and support gems, and some changes around that. There are a bunch of other changes, but yeah, like, it's that thing where I don't know if I'm ever satisfied. I always just you want to do everything, you want to literally do it all, and you never can. So like, hopefully there's enough. Certainly should be enough to shake up the meta. Should be enough to make everything feel fresh and some awesome cool new stuff. But like, you know,
not for me at least.
Don't be surprised if a particular person's favorite skill didn't happen to get touched. Like,
that's the interesting thing about the skill buffs idea, is that you manage to achieve these days very, like, there's lots of different builds, and they're changing a lot.
PSA
League as well, by virtue of like the new stuff that you're adding, like ascendancy changes or new skills or whatever. All that stuff is creating lots of new builds all the time. But when it comes to the skill buffs, I think it's more just about, like you said, like someone has like a favorite skill that.
Yeah, I already told you that, sir.
It sucks to see.
I already told you that.
It sucks to miss something, like, because what happens when you buff everything, then you get a lot of like, but what about this?
But thank
and
you for
like,
the PSA.
No, I'm sorry. I really wanted to, and you know, and then sometimes we still try and just squeeze it in before the patch, and we just try and get as many done as we can. But yeah, like, again, it is ultimately a resource game, and
Found out the hard way
we
this
do
morning.
as much as we can. We really do.
Yeah,
Combined
I mean,
with both new stuff to change everything.
that's kind of how. I mean, I have. I'll show you. I really like my shield, but I have to upgrade off my shield because this is my shield. It's 670 and it's purple, but it's the old enchanted ward. It's refreshing defense for cooldown reduction. It's refreshing for cooldown reduction. And then it's life stealing, which life stealing is okay or whatever. But then it's missing a mod because it's purple, and it's also only 670 gear score. I got this, which this is pretty cracked. This is pretty cracked shield, and probably what I'm going to be upgrading to. I really wish I got a defensive slot so that I could do Enchanted Ward. But yeah, that's like almost Biss shield right there. Almost Biss.
Up, bringing like excessive outliers down, and we do try and improve as much as we can. And this time we took it upon ourselves to add a bunch of new skills and supports, and so I don't know, there's heaps there, but you know, it's that thing where a few people are going to have missed their thing, and there's a few.
Is it linked somewhere quick? Is that in the resource that you linked?
I know that's come up, and I think even you mentioned
Discord?
earlier as well. It's just like, yeah.
Weapon perks, yeah. Open link, yeah. Oh, why is it all blurry like this? Oh, because it's just an image. Is this for a particular build or? So I feel like Vicious and Keen, not Speed or Jagged, but there's like just Keen are like top tier for sure, right? No, it's just the image that you linked before. I think this is the weapon one probably. Nope, that's armor. So yeah, I think it's interesting that like plagued crits could be, yeah, I guess that makes sense. But then isn't there like, I think there's like a Keen, right? on weapons. Yeah, like just so he's got keenly jagged and stuff, but maybe crit chance just isn't good. Oh, there it is. It's B tier. Interesting.
Change the weapon type at the bottom.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah, this is huge. This will help a lot. Yeah. I definitely needed to be looking at that more. Dude.
It devolves down to often,
But the shield ones? I'm pretty confident. Is shield a weapon, technically? What is slash shield ward? Wait, these aren't even real stats. Where is... Yeah, it should be protection, I'm pretty sure. Like, it's not ward, I'm pretty sure, right? I don't think there's anything called slash ward. It's all conditioning. Unless there is something called shield ward. I have no idea what type of shield I'm supposed to be using or if there's a difference. Yeah, it's got to be conditioning. I don't know why he has conditioning and ward on like frozen shield. Frozen shield ward might be a thing, but I don't think slash shield ward is a thing. I think this is supposed to be slash conditioning. But yeah, enchanted ward with thrust, slash, and strike. He doesn't have strike on here. Maybe strike is not very good in PvP. But yeah, here you go. Slash, strike, thrust with enchanted ward. S, would it be S tier? But I have slash, strike, and thrust with a gem socket and an offensive gem. Maybe ward is what it used to be because it exists. Wrong. Where is it? Yeah, so this is... Maybe it's the old one, because this is actually worse than... crafted mod. Wait, is it a crafted mod? Yeah, maybe it's a crafted mod. I don't know. But that's worse than the conditioning is. The conditioning is, what was it, 8%? Yeah, condition or protection. It's not conditioning, it's protection. My bad. Protection is 8%. So the shield I have is 8% thrust, slash, and strike protection. So that's got to be better than 7.5, right? I would think. Unless that's the one that doesn't stack that he was talking about, maybe? I don't know. But he doesn't even have those stats on the spreadsheet. So I'm guessing this is just like not correct. Probably just typos or fat fingers. Or maybe it was like, maybe that's the new version is the protection. And so he's just so used to like typing ward after everything, maybe. Interesting that the kite shield is different than the tower shield. And the round shield is even more different. Interesting. Yeah, I'll have to take a more look at that later.
Mage or you know, ephemeral edge and like that kind of stuff being just like, well, obviously, right, quantifiably better. And so yeah, just the ideal thing where, you know, we'd make some changes to some of those, and ideally you'd bring up all of something else, but you know, sometimes you get some of it, not all of it, and everything. But yeah, there's heaps here.
I'll have to take a look at that before I filter these next set of gears.
You never quite catch everything, but there will.
I bet they called it the old name. That's what I think too.
Probably a lot of existing stuff will still be, you know, pretty decent. But yeah, there's a bit of nerfs, bit of buffs, bit of, you know, it's how it goes with all of this balance stuff. Really, it's a bit chaotic, but you know, there's something satisfying to it. But yeah, as I said, you never really fully get everything, and thus you never fully feel satisfied.
You kind of answered my question a bit, because like one of the popular archetypes that's come up as being a bit problematic is hand casting, self casting spells, and usually I think what gets brought up with that is like slow base cast speed, and that in turn making things like echo feel bad, and mana costs being.
I don't think we've done that enough justice for sure.
Yeah.
But it's certainly on the hit list. Yeah. So we'll either we can get to do some stuff, you know, in this coming week if it's simple, if we can think of it. It's not off the cards. That being said, there's always next expansion as well. But honestly, you never know, because often these external variables like the new classes and stuff like that can really change these things up, you know, without you really predicting it as well. So, you know, I can't speak to what we'll do in 3.28 with respect to all of this, because we have to observe what happens in this patch first, given how many variables we've added. And like we said, we've added a nearly infinite number of permutations of builds with the new bloodline classes and stuff like that. So, yeah, we'll see how all that goes. And then but we'll just keep doing it. It never stops, never ends. It literally is an infinite task. You never run out of stuff to do here. So we'll just keep doing it every single patch as best as we can.
Well, that's comes up a lot as the kind of dominance of
huge
ES
rip clip and vids for stream. Okay,
in general, but ES probably has been getting mentioned a lot more.
Let's take a look. See, I think this is almost over. Oh, 9 clips. What vid for stream? Ooh, my favorite. WoW Hardcore Classic rip. Wait, what's this quality, dude? 720? Is that the highest that Twitter fucking clips goes? 720? Or is that just the quality of this video? This does not look like 720. This looks like 360 or something. Is this really 720? Is there no audio?
Okay, kill the boss. We have a bug. It's still spawning. Kill the boss. Tanks, get the ads. All the off tanks, get the ads.
Uh-oh.
Fetch at wall, take boss.
Yeah, I'm saying.
We're killing boss. Execute the boss. We taunted maybe? I have it again.
Oh!
Whoa. Fuck.
Whoa.
Oh no.
What the fuck?
Oh shit, no. What
happened?
I killed the last fucking egg. Seriously.
It's
but you killed.
I killed the last egg. I had the whole animation.
What? Did they all just die to a bug? Unless you pay for premium, that's crazy. Did they all just die to a bug? Is that what happened? So he's talking about the egg. So I'm guessing the egg explodes. Yeah. There's an egg up by the boss. He says he killed the last egg, though. So the egg explodes.
Yeah,
we're killing boss. Execute the boss. We taunted maybe? I have it again.
Wow.
It was definitely still there, dude. I mean, you can't see with the shit quality, but there it is. You can see it right there, dude. You can definitely still see it. The way the boss, or I'm assuming you have to kill the eggs or they blow up like that. And make him kill all the eggs. Ah, I see. So leaving this egg up causes a wipe, and then he didn't want to take responsibility. Doing the mind control fucked up? Yeah, there we go. So he wants to blame it on a bug, but really it's bad gamer is bad. And wipes the entire raid.
Wow.
Fuck.
Whoa.
Oh no.
What the fuck? Oh, no.
What happened?
I killed the last fucking egg. Seriously.
How no one notices
It's
wild.
a kill?
I killed the last egg. I had the whole
what?
animation.
Oh, that's crazy. That's amazing. I love WoW Classic freaking rip clips.
Right, ephemeral edge,
They're my
things
favorite.
like that, but also just a yes.
Oh, I almost fell
compared to
off.
life as well.
Yeah, it does happen.
Classic.
You know, there are band-aid fixes and stuff like that we always like to do, whether or not you can consider them band-aids or just like, you know, you just change some numbers here and there. Sometimes in the
So
case of
much
like
loot on the
Ephemeral
ground, dude.
Edge, it can be a matter of like, yeah, that's an acceptable thing to do. It just shouldn't be as so easy to do. So yeah, I wouldn't say I have like, there's no broad solution here, but yeah, I agree that it is a problem where it's like the more traditional just do a thing feels like it's now wrong. It feels like you got to like pre-commit to being like, what is this singular thing I'm going to stack and then pick the thing that scales off of that. So be it like attributes historically,
How's my weight?
you know, not just thinking current meta.
We're almost full again.
It's always like, yeah, you just like heavily stack this one thing and oh, here's a unique that scales off that
Yeah,
thing.
no one
And it's like,
notices
well,
and calls out the egg.
on
Crazy.
one part is interesting. It's like fun. That
Yeah.
is the build.
I'm in two minds on it. Like
but
that.
then when every build is just like, okay, well, that's stacking this, that's stacking that, that's stacking, and you start going through the builds and you're like, okay, well,
we definitely like very slowly got here over time. I feel like in the stacking where it just became kind of like, yeah, just a little bit at a time. It became PoE1 became all about stacking.
it
builds.
really primarily comes down to mostly to the unique items that got added, right?
Yeah, it's often.
Does that-
a
is
unique
that
item's
true? I
special
don't think
thing
that's
is like,
true.
what am I going to scale off? You know,
Yeah.
be it, you know,
Oh,
off
Nos
evasion,
is streaming.
or off armor, or off energy
What?
shield, or off life, or off ES, or mana, and you know, or off int, or off strength. You know, it does end up in that, and then some unique gets added. Like maybe it's one per year, and it's like, oh, here's another 6% increased intelligence. There we go. That build's now just got a little bit more of an edge, and you do kind of just power creep into that point for sure. So
It's like I don't even know like how much of a problem it is, but it's like definitely identifiable that it's like a big aspect of the build meta for PoE1.
it is. I think
muscling
it's
other things out maybe.
I think it's too dominant, but on the other hand,
It's fun though. Like,
yeah,
people
it's
like
fun,
stacking
it's
builds.
cool, it's interesting.
So you don't really wanna
You could
kill them.
argue it's what makes things kind of it's part of PoE to a degree.
Yeah, it's an actual action RPG.
Yeah, so
thing, isn't
you
it,
got to
as
be
well?
careful with it. You don't just
Yeah.
want to take away all the fun and just make everything flat and boring. On the other hand,
yeah.
but you also don't want it to feel like a player's made a mistake by playing a more traditional, you know, build, and it often can feel that way. So there's a fine line here. Hard to be at that fine line, but yeah, some things are a bit too OTT at this point, and other things are on too far.
Jonathan looks like he's being
And
held
the other problem is if you
hostage.
start buffing all the skills, well, a lot of those skills might see use, but they'll still see use in that stacking ecosystem. And then it's like, well, have you really made a new build at that point? Like,
I think that's sometimes the problem is like, oh, my builds feel the same because ultimately, like, I'm using different skills, but they're all I'm just stacking on all of them or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't have a like, here's the solution.
Yeah,
because it really
don't know
isn't
if there
how
is
it
one.
actually. It's not really how it
Kind
plays.
of gauging your thoughts on it.
Yeah,
overall.
I mean, I enjoy discussing it. It's just a matter of like, it's honestly 500 different solutions, and we need to just chip away at them and you know, mold it, and it will eventually, you know, shift into something else, and then that will be meta, and then that will be complained about probably after a while, and then something else will be, and you know, it's the cycle. It is balance. It is as I said, it's an infinite amount of work, and we just need to keep doing it. Like, you don't give up on it because it can never be solved. You just keep going, and as long as people are having fun, and you don't like compromise the philosophy of the game ultimately, then then you're winning, right?
Balance is a journey. Yeah, it's not about the destination. It's about the journey.
It is. It actually is.
Yeah, for real.
I mean, sure, it's just the stops along the way. Every expansion.
That's it. Yes.
Every reroll.
Well, a nice stop on this expansion I noticed is wand. So you did actually mention it last 326 Q&A. You said wand specifically. I went back and watched, and I was like, oh, interesting. I should ask about that. And then you showed off a bunch of wand skills, and it seems like there's some nice wand buffs going on in there to help wanders out.
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple things. There's like a bit of a hidden gem is that there's attack mod only wand based types in the series now. So they're literally, and they're kind of themed more around kinetic
wands.
Wands, and so because that's always been a bit of an annoyance. Like,
are we playing a wander in 3.27,
get
guys?
the like pure attack ones to help it easier to roll for those builds. You got way more of a skill set to pick from now, and then I mean, generally speaking, the skills. They can be pretty hectic. You know, they can scale pretty well.
Kinetic round is very hectic.
But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a cool theme, just like that general kind of like, you know, physical kinetic energy kind of thing going on. We had a little bit of it with kinetic bolt, kinetic blast. So we just extrapolated on that theme, and now you got your wanders and it's the thing, and then we also added a little bit of like kind of wind magic, some tornado stuff.
It's like a force wall that you can
the kind of force wall. You've got like a little bit of inspired by Huntress from PoE 2 a little bit with some of the,
a little bit, huh?
You know,
just a little bit.
I walked upstairs the other day and saw some QA playing, and I'm like, oh, someone's embracing the tornado.
Does Jonathan not look like? Think about any like movie where you've seen a married couple, or maybe you know these people in real life, where the wife is definitely like the more like bitchy, like dominant person in the relationship. Like, she dictates what you do when you do it and stuff. And the dude's just having fun, enjoying a conversation. And the girl is just like, tell me that's not Jonathan right now, dude. Tell me that's not Jonathan right now, bro. Look at that face. You're sleeping on the couch tonight, bitch.
And he's like, that's not even half the tornadoes you can make. And I was like, all right, sweet, all right. I was like, yep, that's PoE 1. And I walked out of the room. I was like, all right.
I blasted like Act 1 through 4 yesterday on a wander, and I was just like, man, this is so good. I was having the time of my life. Like, oh my lord, the new skills and the wands.
Oh, we got a fucking tip
it's not just
performer
the ones,
guy.
It actually pairs pretty well with the other ones that have like the flat
scamming people out of their 10 gold, dude.
It all kind of came together a bit. It was like,
it's cool.
I definitely, in the past, I just kind of like wrote ones off. I was like, yeah, they're never going to get to ones. It's like forgotten about.
It's always been pretty kind of just, it's niche. It's actually an interesting thing. I mean, obviously it was designed before I started.
When does that go
PoE,
away?
And I always thought, I was like, yeah, that's kind of cool. Like, that wands that aren't about just spellcasting.
It's gone now.
You know, they're about doing attack damage. I thought it was interesting.
Pistolero style. That's what I like about it. Ones.
Yeah, this might be the largest update to wand attackers that we've ever had in now like 15 years or something. So
finally, look, I know there's some people in the chat that have been a long time waiting for this one.
I mean, yeah, you're right. It has been
your
forever.
moment has finally come. It's good
cool
stuff.
Yeah, there's
Wanders Unite, dude.
Little gems in there as well, like some fire archer kind of things, and there's some that we want to still extrapolate on, but like wands was the main focus.
Yeah, definitely a lot of love for wands. And
are we playing a wander, boys? Are we playing a wander?
Pretty cool. Lots of fun synergies there. So we kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but shifting gears a little bit, I'm curious about the long-term development of PoE 1. Like, how much is PoE Classic, PoE 1 kind of like sacrosanct to you? Like, how much do you like not want to change it? Or because, you know, you've been taking things from PoE 2 and feeding them back into PoE 1.
Good question,
and I'm curious, like, is there points you get to where you're like, well, actually, let's not push it too much closer to PoE 2 in that direction, but keep it its own thing? Or maybe like actually let's kind of preserve it as it is to some extent.
I wouldn't want PoE1 to ossify into something where we feel like we can't change stuff. Like that would be bad.
Cool.
But
Sounds cool though.
Yeah, but it's kind of like okay, the stuff people that we'll probably take back from PoE2 is more around the sort of QOL areas of stuff, right? So obviously, people would have been rioting if we hadn't brought async trade from PoE2 to PoE1. That's obviously something required.
Dude,
it's been sort of nice that we get to do a little bit of like proving grounds in some cases in PoE2 for some of those changes to see whether or not it'll be okay. The thing we wouldn't ever do to PoE1 is make changes that would break what people like about it fundamentally. So there's things like the trickiest parts, things like the way that item drops are and stuff like that. Like I don't know that, like, even though there are things I don't like about that, I don't think we could necessarily change them either. In terms of so like there's stuff like that you just have to kind of like let it be, because they could easily break stuff that people really like.
It kind of raises the question, like, what is it about PoE1 that does need to be kept? That is kind of what makes it feel
philosopher
like
Ziggy D over here.
I think that it's hard to even define that, quite frankly, because like it's a mix of things. I mean, look, the thing that PoE1 I guess has become known for, as opposed to PoE 2, is just like the combat pace stuff, like where it's just like ultra fast in a lot of ways. But it's not like there was like a goal to make PoE1 like that either. It just kind of is, and so you wouldn't like it's I wouldn't even want to nerf that about PoE1, right? Like it just is how it is, right? So that's
don't
like really
touch my speed, Jonathan.
I think actually that the community sees more differences between the two games than what we do. Like from our perspective, like, it's like there are I don't even know how to really get into this exactly, but it's like, we're just trying to make a good game. And it's like, it's not like we changed design philosophy or anything like this, right? Like it's the same design philosophy from the same designers. Like going on in both. It's more just a question of like PoE1 got a bit out of control in a certain few aspects, and that's kind of become part of its DNA, and so we can't really change that. And so so when it comes down to stuff like that, we'd take from PoE2 to PoE1. Well, it's just like all the things that PoE1 players would like, and none of the things that PoE1 players wouldn't really. I mean, look, that's ultimately we want to be doing. But yeah, I wouldn't want it to be. I wouldn't want to be in a situation, as I said before, where it's like, okay, we're like PoE1 is in some kind of perfect state that needs to be preserved forever. Like I don't think it's like that. We do need to be able to make changes. So yeah, it's just a question of,
I think a pivot with PoE2 out, and this isn't obviously black or white.
What?
But PoE1 is, we always had this is still true. We still want to bring in new players. But I would
they give you buffs depending.
Now,
it's not a scam if they play well. They give you a buff depending on the song they play.
The PoE1 player base, the fans of the game, the long-term players.
It's a scam because they do it in spots where people AFK and just mash E. They're not doing it to buff people. They're doing it to get the $10 tip from other. And I was watching one of the bigger, I think Summit, or I don't know. I was watching some bigger streamer, and his chat was saying that people will make up to 50K an hour doing this shit, where they just play a song in an AFK area, and then people are mashing E, just giving them tip money, and they make like 50K an hour because people are like mashing E button.
The people who love PoE1 happy, as opposed to going, we need more new players, we bring people in. Whereas
there's no
PoE2 is still now a growing game. There's a new audience available.
There's no confirmation that you want to send the money to the tip person, not pick up your gear.
Love PoE2. That's the ideal world. But that being said, when we're looking at PoE1, we're not going to like try and do anything that's going to compromise what the fans love about it in order to bring in a new set of players at this point. Like I would say that's going to be pretty rare. So it's about making sure that the people who do love the game continue to love the game, and that's why you're probably going to see less in the way of like some grand structural change to all kinds of stuff, because if that change would bring in a bunch of new players. Like, I think making sure you have a good, popular game that people love will inherently bring people in, because people will see that positivity and be like, I'm going to give this game a try. But, we ended up
about it, I think, in the same ways. Like,
enough philosophy questions.
I do think there is a little bit of an assumption that a lot of philosophical discussion. Like, what are the rules? Like nothing.
See, I know this is attribute. Like, very nice. All right, so still not solved there. So you did mention that asynchronous has come over to PoE 1.
Yes, ask the question.
It's like, initially I was like, there's almost not a question about that because it went into PoE 2. It worked. Was there any problems in bringing it over to PoE 1?
Not really, to be honest. Like, I think it basically. I mean, the fact that PoE 1 got the gold already kind of meant that it can kind of work. But
the gold is a thing though. Like
it is because of the fact that the gold is more scarce in PoE 1 more valuable for other things.
Used.
It's more used for other things. Yes.
Yeah. So we had to do a little bit of balance around that. Obviously, but also like we do have to go through and assign gold prices to everything in the game, and obviously because PoE 1 has a lot more different items and stuff going on, we did have to go through and do all of that. So yeah, it wasn't just like immediate. We had to consider, well, hold on, the gold balance already was kind of like tight, like so. And it's in that spot of like, some people are like, I want more, and you do want people wanting more, and so now all of a sudden there's this extra thing. That's a cost, so we have to obviously account for that. What else was there though? I mean, ultimately, it's mostly just, I guess the console.
Yeah, so there's like the thing. So console previously had a kind of like trade board thing, which is made pretty much entirely redundant by this. So that old trade board is getting ported over into this system now. So that's
we're actually deploying that. Just a fun fact. We're going to make a post about it, but we're deploying that a bit. The removal of that a bit early because we need. There's like a thing where we have to get rid of it before the new system is put in place, due to just like database migration kind of territory things. So we're doing that like a couple days early. To remove the console tray board, and then a couple days later, 327 releases.
I need to break down gear.
It'll be a little bit. We'll do a whole post about that, just about what happens to those items. You don't lose your items; they all get put in remove only tabs and all of that stuff. But yeah.
Well, I'll tell you for the PoE 1 only players who maybe haven't tried it in PoE 2 yet, it's been pretty phenomenal.
Right.
The asynchronous trade is definitely like a massive quality of life improvement and very.
I need to break down gear.
Pleasing to use.
Yeah, we get it's good, but ask the question.
We have a bunch of UX improvements we still need to make to it. It's got its kinks. So like, I wouldn't want people to think just because it's porting that we're seeing it as perfect. I know people have brought up having save searches.
Yep.
Being able to more rapidly, like you could control right click your item to automatically search for that item. And
we're getting that feature, right? I think they even
that's incredible.
Yeah, I'm talking about things that are in progress.
Like that's actually wild that you're like potentially getting that. That's
it's very. I know everyone wants.
Is that going to be in time for PoE 1's release?
I'm not sure. I actually haven't followed up on the exact specifics of that where that's at, but
okay, but ask the question about bulk pricing.
League or something, you know what I mean? Like we'll try as soon as it's done on both games, it'll get deployed.
Since you're on it, was there like a reason why you can't mouse over items in like your sold items log to see what they were? Like I like that information to be like, oh, what was that sold for 2D?
You can
tried that, didn't we?
But it doesn't.
I don't remember, but it might have been that it would require storing the item, which might have been.
We discussed originally
like see the actual stats.
I think,
okay.
Yeah. I remember discussing
like
that before doing it, and we were like, that would be cool. That would be the thing we want to do.
Probably doesn't store it at the moment because it's like
there's a tech thing for that.
It's not like, I mean, we could probably do it, but
okay.
Yeah, it
potentially on the cards then. Yeah, it certainly would be nice.
Okay, but what about bulk pricing, Ziggy? Say it.
But I certainly love logging in the morning to all the currency and seeing what's sold for what.
But effectively, I think that like trying to improve the kind of price check experience would be the thing that kind of like the next frontier of like in terms of the in-game UI.
That's good to know. I want to know about bulk pricing.
And like, I think there is like an interesting like opportunity you guys have to be able to help make that like much more sane for players compared to what it is now to price check an item, which is a very complex
see it thing that need a little bit of UX.
Anyway, slightly getting off topic there, but trade is like, it was obviously a big thing, and the use rate of asynchronous trade, like how people been using it.
So we were checking on this recently. I think that you got them to look up the numbers on that, and it ended up being around 50-50.
Just under half were using the new system in PoE 2 so far.
Really?
I expect that to go up over time.
Yep.
Only half.
Is this like compared to the existing stuff?
Wow.
That we
found like I don't know if it's still the case now, but like for a while, like the new trade system, the items were a little bit more expensive. So then there were people who were like,
settling in.
Well,
to look a lot more into this, and I sort of suspect that the damage, as it were, that it causes is like quite subtle and harder to appreciate.
Yeah.
I don't think there's no damage. I think it does matter.
Feeling of like how it's affected my experience, and like I was saying, I'm the player who lives in that 5 to 10 C sale range, like selling those items for 5 to 10 chaos.
And that is exactly the fear that like introducing fast trade does kill the values there, and that like I mean that's a problem.
Yeah.
It's a sort of
interesting mixture of phenomena. Like you get the ability to obtain like your starter endgame gear for 5 exalts total. Like you can buy a set of gear basically for 1 exalt each.
Right.
So like that's obviously there's a big impact there. That,
for sure. I mean that's that once again that is the fear, right?
It's just the like the standard now. The bar for like the quality of our gear is raised to a certain point. Right. And then I guess that has follow-up questions like as to how powerful crafting is, how powerful like item drops are when you first get to
here. It's
looks like
more philosophical questions, dude.
Likely returning after rebalance, redesign in some cases. I'm just curious, like, does that mean that like some sort of horrible mercenaries are planned to come back, or is it more just about like having the jewels there with the gambling or something like that?
The intentions they come back. There's just a little bit of figuring. I mean, like with all these things, we have to figure out exactly what. It's very hard to develop. We like to see how players think about it, find the bad things, find the good things, and all that. And it's very hard to develop how it goes into core straight away, because like, generally,
this is just the game.
I imagine this.
I'm sure they will come back eventually. It's just.
But something that I saw that was an interesting question was, so at one point, Heist had these like extra modifiers you could get on contracts to like make them more interesting. And they don't really have anything like that. And I would go so far as to say right now Heist doesn't really have any decision making. How do you guys feel about the state of Heist overall?
It's not good enough. And this is the part of the problem is we were having. It's like, we want to do this kind of like mid to grand rework for it, like make it better and change this and change that. And then that was honestly what was holding up that QOL change, where it's just like, because we also were like, we'll design it out such that the rogues don't have the levels and it was waiting on that, and I was like, okay, look, at this point, it's been too long. We don't know when we're going to be able to do this. We can't say with certainty, because again, the same role,
Yeah, it is quite well loved by the people who like it, and that had like a lot of flavor and cool.
Heist.
League mechanics into the campaign that you've been doing in PoE 2 and to a lesser extent in PoE 1. It's cool. That's good. It's a good way to introduce that stuff to people over time as well. Did you ever have like a crazy fever dream where you're like,
oh my god,
I don't know about that one.
Yeah.
Ask real questions, Ziggy.
Make the as possible going on in the world. Even we understand that you must have the league in order for the campaign.
Less exciting for that
for sure
initial
going on something. Oh, for sure. It's
you guys have shifted. So specific transfigured skill gem is like an ice golem that
make a league, and it's
all right. Are we done with this? I think we're done with this.
And then, like, what can players do from their perspective for something that they think is important?
Generally, most of the media, like our community team, has a generally good eye on things that are more. So that's
like more affinities. Is this something?
You said dual stash tab. I thought you meant as in two stat. I was like,
well, I want more stash tabs and more stash tabs.
You had the quad one. You want to,
I want a halfway between that. It's too much.
Okay.
The item's too small. Jewels.
Right, I got it. Okay. Generally speaking, we wanted it to always be that like rollable equipment, things with modifiers don't get specific stash tabs. Like that's the stuff you have to deal with. That's the item management should be in that. But then I understand technically compromised on flasks and bits and pieces, and it's like a little bit of a gray area. But like we so far have drawn the line kind of as just like, I mean, we've literally listed the rest of the stash tabs, and aside from adding new leagues and a whole bunch of new currency items here and there and stuff like that, it's been like they want to look at it, see what the mods are, and for messages, and you can change that, and that we did the whole.
All right, I think we're done with the Q&A, dude.
Like 50-50. It might just be done.
Ziggy's asking a lot of philosophical questions that make me not want to listen anymore. So, okay, boys and girls. We're gonna be wrapping up today's stream shortly. I was gonna look at patch notes, but it's already 9 o'clock, so I'm not gonna do that. But you can watch me filter some gear here as we figure out what fucking perks are good. Where was that? RPG resource. I want to look at the armor perks real quick. Okay. Enchanted ward is required, it says. And now it doesn't talk about gym slots or anything like that, but I'm pretty sure gym slots are stupidly good, so enchant. I got one piece of gear with enchanted. Now, to be fair, I've put all light gear on, so I'm only getting light gear right now. So I'm not getting gear with the idea of abilities deal more damage. That's pretty good. But that's also just in an offensive slot. We can slot that ourselves too. So let's remove this. Let's add offensive for the offensive gym slots, the offensive slots. So this has 2 offensive slots. The other thing we kind of want is sack. Specifically for, okay, so I have nothing. Specifically for our light gear here, because I do have an idea on what I want for a bow build for PvP purposes only. Okay. So yeah, none of this is really that good. Let's see here. What else would I look for? Let's see, according to this, health, refreshing, vital synergy. So this is like, these are not what I want for a pure DPS standpoint. So, like for PvP, maybe, oh shit. I was looking at stuff, man. Maybe we want, what's vital synergy? Gain 15% stamina. Stamina's below 50. Is that good? Elemental aversion is good. Let's take a look at that. Elements. I got elemental aversion on my weapon. Dude, come on. All right. So no gear with gem slocket elemental aversion. What's invigorated? That's not invigorated. What if I delete this? Invigorated. Reduce the base duration of weaken, disease, exhaust, and rend. I'm not a believer in that. Can I control Z? No. I'm not a believer that that's a good stat for... Not for the light gear, at least. Let's see. What do I want then? I don't know. Maybe just offensive slots. So this says 2, like I got this one right, which is sack power. Oh, that's the other thing I want. Yeah, sack power. Wait, he doesn't even have the is sacrament power on here? No, he doesn't even have sacramental. Oh, maybe it's perks on armor. Maybe that's what I'm need to be under. These perks are usually placed on weapons rather than armor due to how powerful they are. Okay. Okay, so no, this is not what I want because he doesn't have sacrificial on here either. Maybe these don't count as perks? Wait, what are these? I don't know. So I didn't get any with offensive slots, gem slot, and sack. What about offensive and sack? So the spreadsheet's not exactly helping for what I'm looking for right now, unfortunately. Okay, so I think I can get rid of all of that. Let's check real quick for... Are there any with Enchanted Ward? I don't... I think that's a skill slot with 2 offensive slots, I think. So this has Enchanted Ward in a defense slot, not as a perk. This is enchantment. This is also enchantment with slash conditioning. 2 skill slots. That might be worth something. Oops. That might be worth keeping. I'll hold on to this. Is there anything else I would want to look for? Let's check refreshing, maybe. No refreshing, okay? I think we can get rid of everything else then. So let's just go ahead and delete all of this. That frees up only like 200 bag space, actually. Holy. All right. All right, I don't want to be in the PoE category playing New World for too long, so GG's chat. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for listening. We will have more PoE content at the end of the week, or in like about a week, I should say. Till then, we'll be back with more New World content probably tomorrow. I'll catch you then. Deuces.